Hello, hello. Chainsaw Man Chapter 202 came out today, or otherwise known as Man. Um, so before we start, I usually do a quick recap of the chapter, along with screenshots of panels from the manga to go along with what I'm talking about. However, last week I got hit with a copyright strike. Um, Usually it's probably not anything to do with like what I usually do because last week I had posted a panel of a Japanese, like the Japanese panel with the Japanese language because there was a line that I wanted to see the original of. So I guess the AI bots just caught that. But I'm like 98% sure that if I just do it like I usually do in English, that'll be fine. However, we just to be completely safe, I have done my own rendition of the art from the chapter, my fan art, if you want to call it that. Da da da. So in a way, it's like a court drawing almost. But anyways, the chapter opens with Yoru and Denji facing each other before Yoru turning her finger gun on the fake Chainsaw Man, who is forced to jump into the air to dodge, and Denji uses this opportunity to chop off his other arm. Uh, as he does that, Yoru tries to shoot the fake Chainsaw Man again to finish him off, but out of nowhere, a bunch of bodies flies between the blast and the fake Chainsaw Man to block the bullet. And it's not entirely clear if that's the work of the Death Devil, the Falling Devil, the Fire Devil, or the fake Chainsaw Man. It could be any one of them, or it could be a combination of them. Who knows? But, anyways, the fake Chainsaw Man starts to absorb these chainsaw zombies and take them to replace his severed arms. And as he does that, the chainsaw zombies loses their chainsaw and becomes again sentient. However, it's not the best time for them to be sentient because they are being mashed into an abomination of flesh. And as he is doing that, one of the bodies that the fake Chainsaw Man is absorbing sees Denji, the real Chainsaw Man, and begs him for help. He is smiling, but he's also crying, but he's smiling because he thinks he's going to be saved. But before Denji can do anything, the fake Chainsaw Man makes a big fist and slams it upon Denji along with the boy that's part of the fist. Denji dodges, but the boy has his face broken. And the chapter ends with the fake Chainsaw Man asking Denji to, or asking what Denji's going to do, whether he's going to hurt the innocent or he's going to, I don't know. But the dilemma here is kind of similar to when Denji fought Santa Claus back in part 1. Santa was turning people into puppets to attack Denji, and Denji was struggling with that until Quan Chi gave him the sagely advice to just ignore them and pretend they're not human beings. So a bit of a callback to that and another test of Denji's morality. But in this scenario, though, I do think it might be better for Denji to kill the fake Chainsaw Man along with the people he absorbed, because at this point, it might be more merciful to put them out of their misery rather than letting them live as a bunch of mangled flesh joined together. But yeah, so anyways, pretty short chapter, action heavy. With that being said, I'm not entirely happy with the fact that we still haven't heard the fake Chainsaw Man's answer on what what he thinks Denji's mistake was. Because remember, a few chapters ago, he put up on Denji. He's like, "Hey, you messed up." So we're not sure what he's talking about specifically. I do hope we would have gotten an answer to that sooner. It's been the third week now, I believe. And we're going to wait another 2 weeks because there is a break next week. So yeah. But anyways, like I said, a pretty short chapter. Don't think there's too much more to talk about. Yeah, so I guess we can call it a day for that. But yeah, so on the copyright thing, I think I can probably do English panels without much of an issue, but just to be 100% until the copyright strike is expired, this is the format that we will be going with. Also helps, flow the creative juices, even though the art may not be the highest of quality or effort. All of this took like 7 minutes together to make. But yeah, that's all I got for the night. Oh, let's see. Actually got some comments. Hello. E. I don't know what that means, but E to you as well. Do you think Fake Chainsaw Man is a mesh of people? Yeah, that's an interesting idea, and it also kind of explains how he could be worshipping Chainsaw Man as well, because he does idolize him as a human, but he, doesn't look like one. I don't know. I'm still leaning towards him being like a person, like a normal person that can transform, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to just randomly pop up into places the way he did throughout some points of the series. So I still think he's what's his name? The Akoku from the Devil Hunting Club. I still think that's the most obvious choice for now. But I think him being a mishmash of people originally is also interesting. Although I would say if he is like a mishmash of a bunch of randoms, it wouldn't make that much sense for the voice in his head to be only the Fire Devil. Like, because if he is like a combination of like 20 guys, you would expect 20 different voices in his head instead of just him communicating with the Fire Devil. So that does lead me to think that this is a guy, and then, these are the minor guys that just came onto him. Not the way I meant to phrase it, but do you think Denji is going to address Yoru's killer tendencies? I mean, I do hope he does, because at this point we went through a bit of a cycle in terms of like Denji witnessing Yoru doing some horrific stuff, killing civilians, and then she's like, "I'm a devil," and Denji's like, "Oh no," and then he's friends with her anyways. So I do hope to see that we will evolve from that relationship at some point, develop that relationship somewhere. Whether Denji joins her or whether Denji opposes her, I just want to see some progress on that front. Let me see. But yeah, I think the bodies mashing is the most interesting part of the chapter, just because of the implication on who is doing that. I'm still leaning towards the Fire Devil doing this, and this being the fake Chainsaw Man's own powers, because the Chainsaw Zombies were formed by the Fire Devil, and the Fire Devil is also inside of this fake Chainsaw Man at the moment. So I'm assuming that inside his head right now is also the Fire Devil. That's why he looks so calm as the bodies formed a human shield to, defend him. But yeah. Let's see. But yeah, really also a action-heavy chapter, not too much that I can exactly talk about for now. I guess there's also the thing I mentioned earlier about Denji's current dilemma mirroring his, fight with Santa in part 1. I think it might be a little boring for him to just repeat what he did in part 1. So maybe instead of just following Quan Chi's advice from back then, where he ignored the puppets' humanity and killed them, he might go out of his way to save the mangled humans in this scenario. Because in part 2, we kind of explore Denji's guilt about, like, his impact on society. So in this case, I think he might want to remedy that, try to be the hero that people think he is. Let's see. Do you think Denji could be manipulating Yoru by playing into her ego? It could explain why Denji seems to be going through the cycle of, oh, Yoru's bad, but I'm just gonna be friends with her still. Not really. Not that I don't think Denji's smart enough to do that, but I just don't think that Denji is in the mental space to do that, because he just lost, like, his whole family. He lost his dogs, his cat, Nayuta. So I don't necessarily think that he is trying to control Yoru at this point. I think he's being pretty genuine in terms of saying that she is his current only friend. Trying to see. I'm trying to remember, like, all their interactions thus far, because it's not like he hasn't seen her kill people. She killed the ramen shop owner, like, just a day ago, chronologically, maybe. Well, it's been a couple days, probably, but either way, I don't necessarily think he's, like, trying to manipulate her. I think that's just who he is, trying to go one step at a time in terms of building rapport with her. Let's see. But yeah, all in all, a pretty short chapter. I do think the action scene has been, like, pretty good this chapter compared to what we got for the most part. I like the I didn't replicate it in my art here, my art here, but I really like that in the beginning action sequence where, like, the fake Chainsaw Man was jumping up, slicing through a rock, and then Denji, like, came up from behind. So I do think it's a step up in the choreography department. But yeah, overall, I think that's all I've have for today. Really quick chapter, but the next chapter is coming in 2 weeks. Let me open the calendar, in May 20th. So I will see you guys then.